Welcome to the Music Mission. My name is Panagiotis Karamanos. I am a music teacher in Sydney, Australia, as well as the conductor and director of the Modest Orchestra, an orchestra consisting of passionate professional musicians that prioritise the education and enjoyment of music through the performance of staple works and new compositions. All recordings you hear, including this background music, come from our public performances, which you can find on YouTube if you search Modest Orchestra. This podcast is designed for all lovers of music, no matter your musical preference, experience, or expertise. Now on to today's episode. Hello and welcome to today's episode. I'm joined by my friend Christian Sharp, who's joining me all the way from... Where are you coming from, Christian?
I'm in Germany, a city called Wuppertal, which is a half an hour outside of Cologne.
Yeah, so Christian is obviously studying overseas, and on today's episode, from halfway across the globe, we're going to be talking about what it's like to be, what it's like to study overseas. So, Christian, could you tell the audience who you are, what you play, and how you ended up where you are today?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a trumpet player. I studied my bachelor degree in Sydney. Then did some auditions over here for a master's degree, and now I'm in my second semester of a master's degree here at the Academy for Music and Dance in Cologne.
Yeah, that's really fantastic, Christian. So a bit of a backstory for those people who want to know. We met in first year, and we kind of just bonded over the fact that we did an education class together. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So I started in the education course with you, and we had a few classes together and got to know each other. And
yeah, we played trumpet. Then we, in practice rooms. I think I showed you some meme music often.
Yep.
And no, we got on quite well, and we still do, which is awesome. So let's talk about what inspired you to want to study overseas.
Yeah, sure. So back at the start of 2017, I took a bit of a trumpet trip to Germany just to see what's going on over here and to see what the teachers are like. And after that, just really opened my eyes as to the possibilities as to what I could achieve if I put my mind to it and also took in what these teachers had to offer. So after that trip, I pretty much knew I wanted to come to Germany and do my master's over here.
So you mentioned trumpet trip. What was this, like a thing you did by yourself, or was it with the whole gang of the conservatorium trumpet players here in Sydney?
Just by myself. So I just booked a trip to Germany and just came to see some teachers and just see what it's like over here.
So a trip that you just dedicated to yourself, like, I'm going to go to Germany and just go on a trumpet adventure and just suss it out almost.
Yeah, exactly. Just emailed a few teachers at the universities over here and sat in on a few classes and just to see what different teachers and different universities have to offer.
Is that something you'd recommend people do before they launch into the official process of time to apply and then locking themselves in and just going in kind of like cold turkey, just blind, just straight overseas? Do you recommend this like trial period that you did?
Yes. I think teacher choice is extremely important as to any study for music, that is. So I didn't even bother applying for classes which the teachers didn't suit me. And I think there's not really much point going overseas to study if your teacher's not a good suit to you.
Yes. Yeah, you can imagine spending thousands and thousands of dollars to go overseas, and then the match isn't quite there.
Yeah, you need to get the most you can out of out of it.
Yeah, it's kind of like my trumpet teacher, which I just happened to stumble across in Greece, who I met when I was in Year 8 here in Australia. I was like the International Trumpet Guild.
Yep.
Yep, good. I mean, like, it'd be a bit concerning if you didn't know what the ITG was, Christian. Um, so the ITG was in Sydney in like '09, was it? I think. And we were in the music cafe, and we just heard these people speaking Greek, and I just kind of went hi, and then
I'm
went
Greek
over a
too.
few times. Yeah, I'm Greek too. So
Yeah.
basically, that was the conversation.
Yeah.
And we became friends over our Greekness. And so he's my teacher in Greece. And I'm not sure if it's a European thing, but maybe you can shed some light on it. But
Mhm.
what I noticed in Greece, because that's the only European country I've been to, I'm hoping once we're over this whole pandemic that I can explore Greece and really, really travel.
Mm.
I noticed in Greece that the general vibe and just like appreciation of music was so different to here in Australia. Um, so I guess one thing I think you mentioned in one of our previous takes, for those listening, this is our third take,
Yep.
is that they've got a lot more orchestras overseas than what we do have here.
Yeah, I think classical music in general is more ingrained in the culture over here in Europe. I mean, it was first developed in Europe. It's a European style of music,
Mm.
and I think that really shows in everyone's understanding of this style of music. Being a musician as a career is seen a lot more highly over here. I think no one sort of says, "Oh, what do you really do?" Trumpet's just a hobby, isn't it? No one, you don't hear that over here. Over here, it's definitely an actual career path.
Yeah, and it's really interesting how you said that over there. People don't say, "Oh, is that what do you mean? That's just a hobby," but I really want to talk about like how you said, classical music was developed in Europe,
Mm-hmm.
and you're so right. And that actually would explain how it's so deeply integrated into the culture there, because their culture
Yeah,
evolved
exactly.
with it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. If we go back, I think the beginnings, through the Renaissance and stuff, was in Middle Europe, in France and in Germany and all these countries. So yeah, it's definitely come up through this part of the world.
yeah, and I guess that's why you can also say that's why people tend to go out more and see more concerts. There's 130 orchestras in Germany.
Yep,
Um,
professional. Yep.
and professional, yeah, professional. That's not even
Yep.
including the how
We,
many community orchestras are there?
uh, none really. um,
Really?
there are like music uh, groups, just like clubs, sort of thing, which would be sort of the equivalent to a community orchestra. But there are so many professional orchestras over here that there are, not that I know of where I'm living. There's not really big community orchestras which offer the same thing. So every city has one or two
That's
orchestras, professional, and yeah, so people generally go and see them.
that's really interesting. That's actually really fascinating. So there's not that many, because like here in Sydney, there's a huge emphasis on community orchestras and people doing gigs for free and all these things.
Yeah.
Does that culture exist over in Germany?
Um, can't say for sure, but from the gigs I've been doing, I don't really do anything for free, or my classmates don't do anything for free either. So what we're usually
Right.
doing are maybe helping out with a school orchestra. Um, like I've played the Handel Messiah a couple of times, first trumpet with school orchestras, just because school trumpet players can't do that.
No, it's very hard.
Yeah, and there are a couple of smaller chamber orchestras that are sort of gig orchestras where you just get paid by call to play with that.
Yeah,
But
which is
no,
yeah.
yeah, there's nothing really going on for free. I think that sort of idea of
Wow.
giving your services for free doesn't really exist.
Yeah, and that's something that I guess the Modest Orchestra we've moved away from that. We're now a gig orchestra, so we pay everybody per gig.
Mm-hmm.
So that that's very interesting.
But there is a difference between student orchestras and then community orchestras. As I
Right.
mentioned, the music clubs that are over here, they're for people who have other jobs and music's just a hobby. But for music students who are starting to become professionals, you have to be able to get something out of it, I think.
Okay, that's very interesting. So what I noticed when I was over, studying trumpet a little bit in Greece was just the general overall, the camaraderie from everybody playing trumpet, everyone trying to push each other, even like the tuba players. Like I was practicing with the tuba players and we were doing stamp studies together. And
Cool.
it was just really bizarre that this just whole, they have small conservatoriums over there, like this, like privatized ones, but it was all over Greece. Like, is that the same for you?
Um, I definitely agree with the camaraderie. I think everyone is supporting each other incredibly well within classes. I mean, there's always, especially in the trumpet world, people with extended egos. Put it that way.
Yeah, let's put it that way.
Yeah, particularly in I'm not going to in particular classes, but in my
It's a can of
class,
worms, not go there yet.
yeah, in my class and in general, I would say everyone's very supportive of each other. Yeah, I know it's a bit different in other parts of the world, but definitely here, I think it's quite supportive.
Yeah, and it's not to say that here in Australia and here in Sydney that like it's a toxic environment and you trumpeters were at each other's throats. I think it's a different type of support where I feel like because it's so deeply ingrained into the culture, like you said before, um, people just are so much more appreciative of music.
Mm.
Do we think maybe that's why it's kind of there's this camaraderie, it's like music for the sake of music almost?
Could be, could be. It's a tough question, but I think maybe I mean, there's a lot more jobs going around over here, and it's much more competitive to get into a Hochschule as well. So it could be part of it that everyone's sort of on the same playing field once you get into a master's degree or something. That there's no reason to be jealous of anyone. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, because I guess here there's the opportunities aren't as plentiful as they are. Or I say plentiful with like quotation marks because obviously it's not. There's like always competition, but I feel like it's a different type of competition. Whereas here, like they feel like there's only one job and
Yeah,
everyone's going for that one job.
yeah, I agree. It's a bit tricky sometimes.
Yeah, because everyone here in Sydney, like we have our gig scene, we have our jazz scene, we have our
Mm.
freelance scene, but then for orchestral jobs that we really don't have many.
No, yeah, you have to wait a
Whereas
while for one to come up.
like okay, how many jobs are going at the moment right now? If you know any at the top of your head.
About 15 or so in Germany, and then then there are even more academy places. So almost every orchestra has an academy. Like for example, Sydney Symphony Fellowship. Every orchestra has one of them. So there's about, I don't know, another 10 or so of them going around.
Wow. That's so okay. So Sydney has one orchestra. How many orchestras would one city on average in Germany have? Would they all have one or
Okay.
maybe two?
Well, Sydney has 3 orchestras, I think. The Sydney Symphony, the Opera Orchestra,
Yep.
and the Chamber
Mm-hmm.
Orchestra.
Yes.
Um,
And Brandenburg.
Brandenburg too. Okay, yeah.
We'll
Um,
count them. They're small, but we'll count them. So that's 4. But
okay,
that's our biggest one, I guess. Our biggest city where everything's happening.
exactly. in Berlin, I think there are 7 orchestras, maybe 8.
So almost double. Wow, double.
In Cologne, there are 3, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then most of the others only have 1. So usually in the smaller
Right.
cities, there's a theatre and then a theatre orchestra. So the orchestra does mainly opera, mainly opera musicals, and also has a symphony concert every month or so. So yeah, they do everything in those smaller cities, I think.
Wow, and most of them have an academy attached to them.
An academy or a a practicum. You know what I mean? A internship program.
An internship. So if let's say I went to study trumpet overseas and I got
Mm-hmm.
into wherever, I could do this on the side as well, or is this like
Yes. So
or is
most of these internships and some of the academies, not all, but the smaller academies, um, you actually have to be a student to be able to apply.
wow.
For the bigger academies, like in Berlin or in the Gewandhaus Orchestra, they're longer. They're 2 years, and you don't have to be a student. But they are. There's an age limit.
Right. So okay, so based on everything you're saying right now, it really is the place to be overseas because it just sounds like music is happening everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think it's quite incredible.
Okay. So let's say I'm a student and I'm in year 12 and I'm listening to this. What do I do? Do I just say, all right, I'm gonna gamble everything, go straight overseas? Maybe I might take a gap year and go over there and learn from a few people and then study straight away a year? Or is it better to go to the con here?
Um, I think
Because you've gone through the con now and
yes.
you've had experience.
Um, I have to say, I think my experience at the con was very useful, and I developed where I needed to be at the con in order to take this next step. So I think everyone's path is very individual. But what I would say is try and find a teacher who's right for you. So if you're just coming out of high school, I think it's important to at least look around Australia at the different um, conservatoriums in Australia and find a teacher that's suited to you. Um, yeah, yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky, especially for bachelor degrees. I think it's just about general improvement more in the start of your bachelor degree than it is at a master's degree level. I think once you're looking for a master's student, master's teacher, you need to be very, very particular in what you want. Um,
Right.
yeah,
Uh,
but I
and
do.
us.
I would also say that the culture is a bit different in Australia as it is from here or what I've heard in America as well. In Australia, most people tend to just go to their conservatorium in their city, and that's okay. It's just the culture. Whereas here, it's more about the teacher than anything else.
Right. So in Australia, I guess it's pretty true. You rarely hear about people coming from Melbourne to the Sydney Con.
I
It's
mean,
just kind of like, what's
yeah,
the hmm?
people do it, but it's
Yeah,
more likely that people just stay in their home city.
yeah. So it's more of a situation of most likely you're just going to find the best institute that's in your state almost.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. But then there are some people who we know some people personally from Melbourne, but they probably came to Sydney because they were after a teacher
yeah,
for that reason, probably.
yeah. I mean, I stayed in my home city for my bachelor, and that worked out fine for me. It's just very
Yeah.
personal.
Yeah. So, like, if you're still trying to find your way, I guess, just start. If you're a bit touch and go, not sure, probably a good thing to do is start at the institute in your city, like the conservatorium there or the equivalent.
Yeah, but I would
And
also
then from there,
highly recommend getting a lesson with teachers in different cities as well, just to see what you like, and maybe you get along much better with, say, the teacher in Melbourne or the teacher in Perth. No idea, but
Yeah.
find someone who's right for you.
Yeah. So I had one teacher basically throughout all of high school and uni, who Leanne Sullivan, which I think is like amazing because we developed a really strong bond.
Mm-hmm.
But I did find myself that when I went to Greece and I learned from this trumpet professor, Gerasimos Ioannidis, that's his name. When I did learn from Gerasimo, it was completely different, and it just changed a lot of things about my playing. So
yeah,
backing up your...
I think it's important also to change teachers over a period of time as well. I mean, 4 years with one teacher and then maybe another 2 years with another. That's a good start for most people.
Yeah. See, 10 years is almost a bit too long with somebody. So, but thing is that's how it ended up, and I'm quite happy. But
important.
Lovely, and she's amazing. And I was actually really looking forward to going in July to Greece. I actually booked my tickets.
Oh no!
Literally, yeah. I've got credit now to reschedule at least.
That's good.
So I was going to go see Yerasime and just bring my trumpets and say, teach me trumpet, and let's go on the islands and let's go partying and all that stuff on Mykonos. And I don't know, I just really like, maybe because I wasn't as involved with the trumpet culture in Sydney as I was over there in Greece, because I had my conducting stuff and education stuff here. But like, it's almost a crew that we've got in Greece, and like we just do everything. So we went out together, we played together, we went on trips and everywhere. Like a lot of things. It was just like a very bonding.
Yeah.
Like,
it's fantastic. Yeah.
Is that kind of like for you guys as well?
Not quite. So yeah, I think it's a bit different where I am. Our class is a half size class, and half our class lives in Cologne, not in Wuppertal. So it's kind of hard to be that close. But we're always going out for coffees and a beer after class concerts and that sort of thing. That's quite normal.
Yeah. Yeah, you always got to ice the chops with a nice cold beer.
Exactly. Especially after Bach.
So, especially after Bach. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Could you explain what the process is you did to actually study overseas? Like, did you just catch a train? Yes, through the ocean. Catch a plane.
Many trains. Yes.
Oh, many trains. Yes. Okay. So, did you set a tape? Did you just fly over there, going, "I'm gonna have a holiday and audition at the same time"? Like, how did you approach it?
So, the first thing you need to do is work out where you want to apply. So, a trip beforehand, meeting teachers is extremely important. Also, because it's so competitive to get in, there's only ever a couple of places each year, sometimes each semester, though. What I should mention is that here in Germany, there's a class size of 12 people. And then the amount of places available is the amount of people graduating that semester. So sometimes there might be one place, sometimes there might be three, or sometimes even none.
Right.
So it's incredibly important for the teacher to know you and know if they get along with you, and also if you get along with them. So yeah, first thing, know where you want to apply. Then you put in an application. Then you come over and do the auditions in person. Sometimes there's many people auditioning for these couple of places. I know I did a audition in Essen, and there was 36 applicants for one place. So it's incredibly tough to actually get in the first place. Yes.
Is it the same here? Like SYO, like let's say, like you go to a room, is it basically the same thing over there?
Yeah. So also the requirements are totally clear on the website. But
Really?
yeah, so in most websites it says you need to play for 60 minutes, but generally
60 minutes
but generally three
per
three
audition.
three what?
Per audition.
That's it says you need 60 minutes worth of music. But in reality they're fine with just 3 contrasting pieces. That's quite standard, just 3 different pieces, and then they choose what they want to hear in a room, and there's always a pianist provided as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
How much time did you get with that pianist?
None. They just play for you when you walk into the
on
room.
The spot.
Yeah.
Really?
Same
So
with
you've got to. So
every audition. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So that's assessing your ability to lead and work and your musician. That's really under the gun right there.
Sometimes the pianists aren't too prepared, and it's a bit difficult. But yeah. So, for example, for my auditions, I played Haydn, I played Chalier Solo de Concord, and the Fush Concerto on piccolo.
So, how do you handle it if they, let's say you're doing the Haydn, and they start off at the tempo you don't want? Like, do you conduct them in? Do you say, all right, ready, and a 1, 2? Like, what do you do?
No, you just play how you want it, and then they should follow you. That's, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just give them a really strong, like, da, da, and just...
Yeah, but I mean, most of the time, it's a nice brisk tempo, and I've never had to change my tempo for anyone, so...
Yeah, I guess they've played it so many times, they know what the tempi are.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting. I don't think I've actually ever played with a pianist in that kind of like, all right, here you go, bang, you're auditioning, good luck, here's your accompanist.
Yeah, it's the same also for professional auditions.
I really didn't know that. That's
yeah, first round here is always Haydn, and yeah, they provide a pianist, and then you just play.
Wow. Well, I mean, that shows you how much I've auditioned for professional trumpet playing, but yeah, that's not what I do. So, I mean, it's not too far removed from conducting, because often you're in a room. Yeah, I remember. Actually, yeah, it's the same thing, because you get 2 pianists in front of you, and they say conduct the opening to Beethoven 5, and you're like, ba 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 ba, and you've got to imagine there's an orchestra in front of you, and you've got to conduct these 2 piano players who, like you said, might not know the rep that well, so you've got to kind of lead them through that.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange position that you put into in an audition. It's could not be. Yeah, it's not very true of your abilities, really. It's just how it turns out on the day most of the time. That's why it's also important to know the teacher beforehand, I think.
Yeah. Do they do blind auditions there very often, or no?
Professional or for
both?
So for universities, never, and for jobs, always, and for academies and practicums, it depends.
Right. So internally within a university, because I know the con, they did that phase where they were like, all right, we're phasing over to blinds now.
I didn't know that.
So yeah, there was there was, remember the very first, or maybe I'm thinking of something else, but so internally within
the orchestral studies auditions were always blind.
I must be thinking of something else. So within the institutes, they have blinds in there as well then?
No, not for universities.
For their orchestral studies in universities in Germany?
No.
Okay, so that's different to the con where we do have blinds here.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's the difference. All right, so as we're wrapping up this podcast, I'd probably like to ask the question. So, we talked about studying overseas and the culture. But what would be interesting? Could you talk about the different types of orchestras they have over there, just to give this like holistic view of the music culture over there? Like you mentioned, there was a theater orchestra. Um, like how many? Because like the SSO is a concert orchestra. How
Mhm.
many different types of orchestras are there? Is there more variety? Is there a more specific type of orchestra that they have?
Yeah, so it's quite interesting over here. Most of the orchestras are theatre orchestras, so they do everything. They do mainly opera, and then also a symphony concert or two symphony concerts every month. Um, then there are the concert orchestras like the Sydney Symphony are the big ones in Germany. So like the Berlin Phil and also the radio orchestras. There are I think 6 or 7 different radio orchestras, and they're the big symphony orchestra um, groups. Um, yeah, and then for particularly opera, then you have mainly the orchestras. So you might have heard of, I don't know, the Berliner Staatskapelle or the Dresden uh, Staatskapelle. These orchestras are generally for the big opera houses in the bigger
Mm.
cities. Um, yeah, um, yeah.
Do you find yourself going to more concerts over there than you did find yourself here?
I think it's pretty
Are you
similar,
immersing yourself
actually.
more?
I think it's pretty similar.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm very lucky where I am because we get free entry into the Wuppertal Orchestra's concerts. So the
Ah, that's cool.
all opera and all symphony concerts. Um, and it's also a fantastic orchestra, so could not be happier.
There's a bonus.
Yeah. I haven't actually been to see an opera here, but I've been to most of the symphony orchestra concerts. And
Right.
then
Okay.
in Dusseldorf, there's the Deutsche Oper am Rhein, German opera on the Rhine, which
Mm-hmm.
is a really, really big company. I've been there a couple of times.
Mm.
It was fantastic. And otherwise, yeah, just been to a couple of places where I've been as well in Dresden and in Berlin. Yeah.
Yeah. So the quantity of listening to concerts hasn't really changed that much. But do you find have you found your listening habits have widened a little bit more?
Um, Not overly, to be honest. I think I'm more
Yeah.
open to seeing going to more out there concerts. For example, I don't know, in Sydney, I found that they always did the same sort of productions, same sort of concerts.
Right.
Um, Whereas,
So there's more variety.
yeah, I think so. I mean, within 1 week, just before Corona hit, um, I went to see a Wagner opera, Strauss, Salome,
Yep.
and
Mm-hmm.
Puccini, Tosca, all within a week.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Um,
Oh, okay. Cool.
yeah. And I don't know. I don't think Strauss operas are put on too much in Sydney.
No,
Nor
I've
Wagner, actually. So it's always Puccini
no.
and Mozart.
It is, and I'm trying to think like when was the last time. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's
Um, yeah, that's interesting. So there's more variety, like just like sheer broad scope, and
I think so.
so stuff that you don't really get the access to listen to live here in Sydney.
Yeah.
You're finding more over there.
Yeah, and maybe something I wouldn't have maybe gone to in Sydney as well, because I don't know, maybe just because I was used to more mainstream stuff. Maybe I'd go and see, I don't know, a concert of Berg music or Schoenberg or something. I had no idea,
Yeah.
but yeah. that might interest me,
Yeah,
seeing something like that.
there's kind of a vibe that City has, and everyone gets used to that vibe. But I think also because just the sheer number, well, I mean, like 130 versus 7, like obviously there's going to be a larger breadth of repertoire being played.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially where I am here, there's so many cities within so close to each other. I'm not sure if you know, but around Cologne and around this Rhine area, there's 7 cities within, I don't know, an hour of each other, and
Yeah, wow.
each city has a class orchestra.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah,
So let's talk about the coronavirus just briefly.
sure.
Obviously, we're going to open up by saying we are in no means any medical experts at all. We know
Mm.
nothing. We are but musicians. But so that's out of the way. How is the situation over there? Because
Um,
like, yeah,
yeah, it's pretty difficult, to be honest. I mean, I think it's better than what I've heard in Australia. I've heard that there's not much support going around for musicians in Australia at the moment.
no,
Um,
the MSO closed for a while.
yeah, um, but here there is quite a bit of support going around.
Right.
And I just read in the paper yesterday that from the 30th of May, we're allowed to open the theatres and opera houses and concert halls again.
Really? What are
Yeah,
your numbers at?
pretty high.
So,
I think we're
how
eighth
many new cases a
overall.
day?
I'm not sure.
Like a few hundred, or like are you in 3 digits, 4 digits, 2 digits? I should really just check this up.
I think in total we're around 160,000 cases in total. I think maybe.
Okay, yeah,
I'm not
I'm
sure
gonna
about
Google it right
what's
now.
new, but I do know that they've been testing more regularly over here, so the number of cases is going up just because of that. Um, but I've heard the death rate's going down.
Yeah, so I'm just seeing here, 933 new. So you're at around 900 to 1,000 a day, which is um, quite intense actually. Um, but yet you said they're thinking of opening up all the state theaters.
It's it's going to happen. Yeah, I mean, pretty much all companies have cancelled their concerts until the end of the season, which is until August. So there
Mm-hmm.
won't be too many things going on until then anyway. Um,
Right.
but yeah, it's a good step for musicians. I think at least we can
Yeah.
start planning next concerts anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. So how's online learning going for you guys? So like overseas, like online learning, how's that?
Mm. It's difficult. So lessons are pretty much non-existent. Um,
Really?
yeah, for a
No Zoom
while there,
lessons?
I've been sending recordings to my teacher, and then he'd call me and give me feedback. But Zoom lessons don't happen for us anyway. I don't think there's
Really?
much to them. Yeah, because you can't really tell sound quality and level of relaxedness and all this sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I I've I I took up a new student actually.
oh yeah,
Um actually from Leanne. So lovely boy. Um very talented player, really phenomenal. And so we've been having Zoom lessons. And so I saw him for the first time last week, face to face. And then I realized, oh, I'm not sure. We need to fix the positioning. Like I couldn't physically see it, no matter how much I zoomed in on the computer, and
yeah.
like subtleties in the sound. Like even if he had an external microphone, the sound's compressed.
It's very difficult. It's very difficult. But what I have been doing is I've enrolled for a couple of seminars online, just to keep me busy, I guess, and try to learn something.
Yeah, just keep yourself busy doing stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's fair enough. So I guess we all just kind of have to hope and to see what's going to happen. ACO is opening up in September, last time I heard,
Okay.
which was about 3 weeks ago.
Hmm.
And 3 weeks ago, SSO was essentially taking it as it comes every fortnight, I think.
Okay.
So they were canceling concerts like every day. It's like this next one's like so far in the future. Whereas ACO cancelled like a whole like season's worth and like bang,
Yeah.
we're out until here.
Everyone here's cancelled seasons at the end of the season, as I said.
Yeah.
And also, once we do open up, everyone has to be 1.5 or 2 meters away from each other anyway. So, um, you know,
Yeah,
concert house will be a quarter full, even if they could do concerts anyway. So I'm not sure how profitable that
oh,
is
they
for
wouldn't. Yeah,
them.
they wouldn't even do one seat apart. It would have to be 2 seats apart.
Yeah, 2 or 3, I think. Yeah.
Literally 1.5 meters. That's literally a trombone in sixth position. So wow, it's just we're living in a crazy time.
Yeah.
But these virtual ensembles which are popping up online are very cool. And have you done that yet, or has anyone
No, I'm
come up
still
with that
waiting on
idea?
your recording so we can do the Stravinsky thing.
Oh yes, okay. I'm sorry, I have to send the Stravinsky. Well, you have to download Soundtrap. Can I say
Soundtrap.
the app which lets us easily sync it?
Yeah, but it doesn't work. I tried.
It works in the browser. We can organize that
Oh,
later.
browser. Okay,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I've got to learn to play that Stravinsky fanfare.
Yeah,
It is very hard, but it's so great. I love it so much.
it's a good one.
Yeah. Alrighty. So I think we'll end it there, Christian. Stay on the line, so don't just hang up on me because there's a stop record button. So thank you for being on this podcast.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
I hope we get to do another one in the future. Maybe something on like a bit more specific to trumpet playing. I think would be a cool one.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Cool. And I'm glad that our third and final take actually worked. I think just keeping it simple with audio
Yeah, that's a secret.
is that's keep it simple, stupid, kiss. Alrighty. Thank you, Christian.
No worries. Thank you.
I'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.